Donald Trump's friend and ally, Roger Stone, has been sentenced to more than 3 years in prison. Stone didn't say anything as he left the courthouse in Washington earlier today. He was found guilty back in November of 7 charges, including lying to Congress, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. CBC's Katie Simpson was at the courthouse for that sentencing, and she joins us now. How did things play out in court today for Roger Stone, Katie?
Well, the longtime friend and associate of President Donald Trump received a sentence that was lighter than prosecutors had originally asked for. Prosecutors were pushing for something between the range of 7 and 9 years, and he was sentenced to 3 years and 4 months in prison. However, the judge involved in this case was very firm in her condemnation of the actions of Roger Stone, essentially saying his lies to Congress impeded the investigation into into allegations that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. And she tried to take the politics out of this, saying that Roger Stone wasn't prosecuted because he stood up for President Donald Trump, but because he covered up for the president. So that was the main sort of thrust of what the judge in this case had to say. Roger Stone, as you saw, didn't have anything to say as he left the court. He's been uncharacteristically quiet. However, he was ordered by the judge to stop talking about this publicly after he made a number of comments that received a lot of criticism. Now, this case is hugely important in the United States, given all of the key players involved here and a lot of the recent controversy around it. Donald Trump has been very public in his criticism of the guilty verdict and had been publicly tweeting about talking about how he thinks what happened to Roger Stone is completely unfair. And then recently, the Attorney General, who's a Trump loyalist, William Barr, he intervened in this case, saying that perhaps the judge should consider a lighter sentence than what prosecutors at the Department of Justice had already asked for, something lighter than the 7 to 9 years. Now, that prompted the 4 prosecutors that were originally involved in this case to quit. There has been upheaval at the Justice Department, a lot of frustration, calls for William Barr to quit. And however, today's sentence comes with the judge trying to distance herself from any sort of politics going on here.
Yeah, and I know many people in newsrooms, at least when the news broke today, went to Donald Trump's Twitter account to see his reaction. What are we hearing from the president on this?
Well, the president is on the West Coast today, and he spoke at an event just a short time ago, and he says, in his opinion, that Roger Stone has a good chance for exoneration. You'll remember earlier this week, Donald Trump has been handing out pardons quite frequently. It was one day this week he gave pardons to nearly a dozen people for a range of different crimes. And the big question all along in this case has been, will Donald Trump pardon his longtime friend after the guilty verdict? Here's a little more of what Trump had to say.
Roger is not somebody who worked in my campaign. I know Roger, but a lot of people know Roger. Everybody sort of knows Roger. And what happened to him is unbelievable. They say he lied, but other people lied too.
Donald Trump is continuing to defend his friend, but the key point of what he said earlier today is that the possibility that Roger Stone could get exoneration. So again, we're in the position, we're waiting to see what the president or the White House is going to do next.
Thanks, Katie. CBC's Katie Simpson, live in Washington.